When I sat the ACA case study, everyone around me started typing. Me, I didn't touch anything for about 22 minutes. And I still ended up passing the exam with over 70%. This wasn't because I was relaxed or I was like, I know exactly what questions are going to come up. It was actually because I had a system. I learned the company that much that I knew it off by heart. I built the financials into a system and I prepared frameworks so I knew exactly how I was going to attack the question that would come up when I entered the exam. In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly what I did. I'm not saying it's going to work for you, but if it worked for me, it might work for just one other person. So I know the exam's coming up and hopefully this helps. Woo! Now, I took the exam pre-COVID, and I know the exam has actually changed slightly since then, but there are certain things that have still remained the same. For instance, now I know that a lot of the financials are pre-populated since last year. With me, we never got that luxury, and I know now it's more about analyzing the numbers, and I think that's where the actual value comes in anyway. In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly what I did. I'm going to show you what I did, and I'm going to teach you things that I would keep from what I did and what I would just disregard. And I've actually created a workbook using AI, bearing in mind, but I've made it look like kind of what I did with notes as well. And I'm providing these for free. If you join the Discord through the link in the bio, just DM me and I will send you those over. I didn't pass this exam because I had 2 full tote bags and a backpack of notes and books. I passed it because when I walked into that room, I was prepared for anything that would hit me. And by the way, if you're new here, my name's Harry. I worked in finance for a long time, spanning across investment banking for a few years, audit at Big Four, and prior to that, even asset management as well in middle office and front office roles. I've also got a few businesses that I'm working on, and I do music as well. So the link's in the bio for all that stuff. Yeah, check it out if you want to. Right, so the first thing I want to talk about is what I actually did prior to the exam. Number one, I actually rewrote the whole of the notes in my own words, just so it would kind of go into my head. The way I did this, I literally created a Word document and I used different colors, different shapes and whatnot and fonts just to really get everything in my head. I'm really bad at summarizing, I'm not going to lie to you. So I effectively did end up writing the whole thing. It was bare long, I'm not going to lie to you. But by doing this, it actually kind of just got everything into my head. Basically you're just copying things over, but as you're copying things over, it kind of gets into your head. I know this is a good starting point, I felt. Then pretty much every day in the evenings, I would kind of just go over this, just read my notes on the company, just to make sure, I might actually understand what they do, and then kind of using recall methods to really question myself, write down any questions that I did not know about the company, and then try and test myself on those. And if I didn't know, then I knew that I'd have to look it up, and kind of that would go in my head from then. I think one of the key things that I did do is build a spreadsheet. Now, for me, this turned out to be really useful because I effectively went into Excel, I copied and pasted all the historic financials over to that, and I basically started inputting different columns and rows. So that in the columns, I effectively put, variances and whatnot, and then all the ratios, and I calculated all that manually prior to going to the exam. And then because at college, they kind of give you scenarios which they think might come up based on the case study, I basically started writing all those scenarios down in the back in an appendix and sort of put, ideas that they've told us that might come on just in bullet point format, not fully formed answers, just to kind of create a framework for possible scenarios in that requirement 3 that comes up. In the back, I also did a SWOT analysis, PESTLE, Porter's, all them kind of different analysis. I did that in the back in the appendix as well. And basically all of that stuff, I printed it off and I whacked it into a folder with section dividers and whatnot. I was going to show you the folder, but I can't find it. I don't know. I think I might have chucked it away. I'm not going to lie to you. But yeah, that I think I chucked it away in COVID. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't show you what I did, but that's what I did do. Now, another thing I did was all of the kind of previous notes that I thought might be useful, like things like from FAR, corporate reporting, SBM, all these kind of things, like ethics, audit insurance, all that stuff. I basically took all of those notes, question banks and things like that in 2 tote bags, legit bulging. My backpack was full as well. And I took all this to the exam. It was bare heavy. But if I'm being completely honest, about 95% of it was totally unused. These notes were basically like a comfort blanket. it just meant like I knew that they were there if I needed them, but I actually didn't need them. One thing I want to quickly emphasize is when I did the rewriting of the whole case study in Word, I'm not gonna lie, it took me like a week to do because I was doing it after work pretty much every night. And it was a long, laborious process, but I knew that it's going to get in my head this way, and it generally did. Now, with regards to the spreadsheet, so obviously, like, I've heard that you guys get pre-populated, numbers in a spreadsheet or something. You can like work stuff out from there. So look, I have to nuance it with, what I did and what you guys can do. One thing I will say though is even if you just do what I did, just having that like printed out next to you, it provides you, with things that you can do prior to the exam. So for instance, on screen, you should literally be seeing right now the workbook that I've created based on this year's case study. And one thing you'll see is that we have 5 tabs. Now, the first tab is the exam plan. The reason why I actually did this initially was because when you go to Kaplan or BPP or whoever your tuition provider is, they usually tell you this is how long you should spend on planning. You should spend on requirement 1, requirement 2, requirement 3, exec summary, your cover, everything like that. They give you like a breakdown. Now, I basically utilized, all right, what's the starting time? How many minutes have they said we should spend on everything? And then align the starting time, just adding on those minutes. So then, because you have a clock where you're sitting usually in the exam hall, I basically knew, when it hits this time, I'm printing the sheet out and I knew, all right, when it hits this time, I have to go onto this requirement. I have to do this. I have to do this. It just helped me plan so much better. Now, in this spreadsheet, we put 22 minutes for planning. Change that as your tuition provider has said. Go by what they have said. Look, I've not done this for a few years. I'm just going off what I did when I was doing it. And if it has changed, go by what they've said in terms of timing. Add new rows in here if you need to. But I would use this generally as a plan to follow, just so you're looking at the clock and you're like, oh shit, I need to move on. That's going to keep you in check. Now, the second tab is the financial analysis tab. And this one is golden for me. And I did this because I was like, I don't want to go to the exam doing something that I could have done before. So what I did was I've done for this one is we've copied over all the historical financials for all the previous years to 23, 24, 25. And what's really key for me is adding a variance column between the different years. And you want absolute variance and also percentage variance as well. The reason you want to do this is because you can then literally compare year on year to see if there's any trends happening or whatnot. And what we've also done is we left a blank gap for information that you're going to get in the exam as well. And in the actual exam, I legit wrote down all the stuff I needed and worked out the variances. This was what I was doing in that 22 minutes planning time. We've also added some extra stuff like CAGRs and things like that. And I think the commentary thing is quite good here. You basically put in commentary on, what this means effectively. Now, I've come up with the why do we care bit, but for me, the commentary I've left blank. I left a lot of blank things in here because if I just give you everything, you're not going to learn anything. So the commentary stuff is for you to put commentary as to what you think happened, how you're going to potentially use this and whatnot. Now, another row that I've added is loads of margins and things like that. Margins and ratios are going to be valuable for you in this exam. So what I did when I created this, I literally created all of these things already done. Again, everyone does these in slightly different ways, so they are blank for you to fill in, but they're there. Now, we've also added a divisional analysis page, which effectively just goes through all the divisions on a similar kind of basis. So you can specifically talk about different divisions if for instance like a scenario comes up where you have to do that as well. Now, because you're assessed on loads of different things, we've also added a spreadsheet where it's like per requirement, what do you actually need to look for? And basically the columns should trigger your thoughts. So you should really prep for these, this is for when you're actually in the exam and you write certain things. If there's anything that you think, oh, we definitely know that this is going to happen in requirement 1, or things that I need to definitely think about, this is where you should really have it all in. A lot of this page is literally you can't do until you're in the exam. So I would leave this for now, but it's good to just understand if you want to use it, you can. If you don't, it's fine. But I think for planning, this could be amazing if you have the time. And the last tab is a formula cheat sheet, because the last thing you want to do is looking up formulas like in books and stuff. Oh shit, I don't know how to do this, or I forgot how to do this, or something like that. So this one, basically everyone calculates formulas in different ways. So the actual formula column is blank, but we've put down all the ratios and stuff that we think you might need. Feel free to add more if you think we missed any. But yeah, so for me, although you get more information that's already pre-populated in the actual exam, personally, I would say try and fill this out as much as you can prior to the exam. Print it out. It almost becomes your safety net if something, you can't do something in the actual, in the actual layout of the Excel that you get in the exam, because I know it's not great, for instance. I know it's probably improved since when I did it. But yeah, I think this provides a really good kind of safety net. And yeah, it's really going to help you be more productive for real. Okay, now I'm going to talk about actually getting into the exam, because look, we all know, I'm not going to bore you with the details about, in terms of the timings for the exam, like how long it is and whatnot. You know how long it is. But what I'm going to go back to is what I said at the start of this video, which is genuinely true. For the first 20 odd minutes, I did not touch my keyboard or mouse. And you might think that's mental. And honestly, I thought it was mental as well when I was doing it, because we had been told at college, look, we think this is a good way to prepare. So like I said, that's why I've got like the exam timings page. I literally kept to everything like that. And what the most nerve-wracking thing is when everyone was set to go on the exam and everyone starts, I swear to God, everyone in my room started typing. I was the only one that wasn't typing. And the longer it got that I was planning, like 10 minutes went by, 15 minutes went by, 20 minutes went by, I was feeling nervous. I was like, shit, these guys are typing so much stuff. Like, surely I need to start soon. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do exactly as I practiced, as I know what works, and stick to my gut. Now, what did I actually do in these 22 minutes? I did it as exactly what the tutors told me. So it would be reading through the requirements and planning out. Basically, I remember I had blank sheets of paper with literally drawn out circles on them to do different brainstorms and stuff like that. And I was just brainstorming different ideas, ensuring that ethics were there. I literally had a box for ethics on each requirement. Basically, I had requirement 1, requirement 2, requirement 3, and I was planning out what I would say in each one. And that's what I spent my time doing. And then also with the extra information, the extra financial information, I started filling out my Excel that I'd printed out with, because I've got the columns for the extra information. So I'll start filling out the numbers that, were important. I started calculating all the variances. I started calculating all the ratios for the new information, because the historical ones I've already done, right? So yeah, I basically just started doing all that. And I genuinely finished planning on time, genuinely on time. And it was such a relief, because I was like, fuck, now I can actually start typing. Now, when it comes to the actual requirements and stuff, the mark scheme, when I was doing it, it was basically done on a matrix. And I think it's done kind of in a similar way now. But the way it was done is, even if you get 100% on all 3 requirements, but for instance, you don't get onto the exact summary, you fail the exam. So it's all about hitting enough marks in each of the boxes, which will help you pass. In order to do that, I basically knew what I needed to hit because of my pre-planned out sheets that I'd printed out. So I had, like I said, for R1, R2, R3, I literally have boxes with I know ethics, they always talk about ethics. I know that there's a formula to follow when you're answering the questions. You have to talk about facts, you have to talk about calculations. You need the explanation, you need the implication, you need the judgment, and most importantly, you need the recommendation as well. Specifically for requirement 3, which is usually the one that you get, with the extra information, I didn't try and predict. Like I said, I had predictions in the back of sort of an appendix to my notes with different things that I'd have to think about if certain things came up. And basically, I was like, all right, cool. This is kind of similar to this one. So yeah, I'll have to think about this, this, and this, and this. I basically just went to that page and that really helped me. Just remember that recommendations need reasons, reservations, and practical next steps. One thing that's really important is to always look at the risk side of it. And they probably have taught you this when you've been at college and whatnot, but yeah, you can't just look at from one perspective. You need to look at all different perspectives. Okay, there's an upside here, but what's the potential downside risk? And you need to balance your argument like that. And then we move on to the exact summary and the cover. Now, I left the cover till last because I was like, it doesn't need to look pretty, but it needs to be done. But it's the last thing on my mind. Now, the exact summary I wrote right at the end when I just went through all my requirements and just did that. I think nowadays they might recommend you do it after each requirement. I just did it at the end. It was fine for me, but yeah. The key is you're just sticking to your timings, okay? Because naturally, you're probably going to overrun on requirement 1, and then you're going to be, oh shit, I need to do requirement 2, requirement 3, exec. So try to stick to your times as much as you can. leave like minimal flex time, honestly, because this exam goes, I know it's bare long, but it goes by like that. You have to remember the exec summary is not an introduction. It is effectively the conclusion after you've done all your work. And like I said, there's no point spending bare time making your cover page look all nice and shit like that. And, you know, just get the bare minimum what you need on there, and that's fine. Now, I talked about at the start about not actually using 95% of the shit that I brought with me, and that's generally true. And you might think, what was the point in like writing your notes and things like that? And, you know, it just got it into your head. And by the time you get to the exam, you actually know if you've read it that many times and you've written it, you kind of know the case study inside and out, and you actually don't need your notes. So you might think, oh, you don't need to do all this stuff. But it literally just fed it into my brain. Look, everyone works differently. I completely understand that. But this is what worked for me. And hopefully it might work for you as well. And look, I can share you notes on this specific case study, which I will do. But if I'm being completely honest with you, I think this is something that you should do yourself. I'm happy to share like the numbers and stuff like that, because I think that's quite admin-y and like my setup and stuff. I'll share both with you if you want me to. But if I'm being completely real with you, I think the best thing for you to do is make your own notes, and hopefully, look, the exam's quite soon, so hopefully you've already done this. But yeah, now remember that this resource is going to be free, so all you have to do is literally join the Discord through the link in the bio and literally join it. DM me, I will literally send over the shit to you. If you just say, please can I have this, blah blah blah. Use manners cost nothing, remember that. But yeah. And this isn't something that you should be, you know, just think, oh shit, I'm just going to use this, just take this in, don't look at it and just take it in. It's not to use like that. This has been created by AI. I've looked over it briefly, but probably not as much as I should have. I'm just doing this because I thought it might give you a bit of structure on what to do. So please review it. If there's any mistakes, please let me know. I will change them. But for me, it's more of a structure thing more than anything. So this has to become yours. Customize it however you want, whatever works for you, do that. I'm not saying you need to stick exactly to this format. This is what just worked for me. And if it worked for me, it probably is going to work for at least one other person. So the key takeaways that I can just tell you, ensure that you know the company. That's number one. You need to understand the financial story. When I say that, you need to think about certain risks and stuff. Like I said, this is actually all in the notes, so go check it out. Ensure that you plan before typing. If you want to start typing and do that. But I'll be completely honest with you, right? Like I said, when everyone's typing around me, generally the guy next to me started when they said go. At the end, he was still typing. The guy was typing throughout the whole thing. Me, I literally did all my planning. I had 30 seconds left and I passed. So, you know, you got to pick your poison. What do you want to do? Next thing I want to say is stick to timings. Just fucking stick to your timings, man. Remember to complete every single requirement, the exec summary, the cover, everything. You need to complete every single thing. Remember to think of this commercially, not just, you know, like what you've learned in FAR, like, you know, our gross margins went down, blah, 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 blah. Like, you need to think of this as if you're, you know, from a commercial standpoint. At the end of the day, one thing I will say is the case study is a combination of everything you've studied in the ACA. Yes, there are more lean towards specific subjects, but overall, they're trying to test, you know, if you were to, you know, be an accountant for someone, for a company, and they were like, yo, we want you to do some analysis on this company. What do you think? Like, we're looking to, you know, either expand, to buy something, sell something, blah, blah, blah. What would you do? It's literally testing everything that you've already tested. So look, good luck to everyone that is taking this on Wednesday. But let me know if you're not taking it on Wednesday and you're taking the November one. And maybe I can do an updated video for that. Maybe I'll make it more specific to the case study. If someone could give me the case study in time and I can put out the video in time, that might be quite useful. And also comment down below, which part do you actually find hardest about revising for the case study? Hopefully this has been helpful. I'm hoping it helps at least just one person, right? I know this is a bit later than I expected. Look, I was not in London for a while, but now I'm back and I'm back to making videos. So yeah, hopefully it helps. Let me know if it does help. And like I said, if you want the files, please join the Discord. Just DM me. I will send them over to you as soon as I see your message. But until next week, peace.